It seems like part of the YouTuber's job nowadays is to be canceled for something shitty and have to make an apology video. It has become such a staple. It is so heavily memed on nowadays, and honestly, I think some of them are gonna live in the internet halls of fame for just how bad they really are. With that being said, I thought it'd be funny to rank some apologies from certain YouTubers, and yes, of course, some of them have to show up more than once, unsurprisingly. Let's get into it! Not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud of myself for making this tier list. I have chosen some of my favorite apologies videos as well as from people that I used to watch, and I'll give context for each situation and for each person just so that way you're not in the dark if you don't know about any of this stuff. I'm trying to make it beginner friendly. Starting with Cody Co. The funny thing with Cody is that his crime is that he slept with a 17-year-old when he was 25 and then previously dated a 17-year-old when he was 24. So he's got a type, let's just say that. Now the thing is, it's not like he didn't know her age. He knew that she was 17. That has been confirmed. And on top of that, he's also friends with a violent rapist. The dude was in a frat in college, and I think that's all that needs to be said. Now, regarding his apology, since this is an apology tier list video, this is the easiest part for me. He didn't make an apology. He never addressed it, and now he's back to making content again. And if you're not going to address it or apologize for it, especially since she was a minor and you were 25, I think we have to say, honestly, jail. I also am really proud of myself for coming up with this tier list because I came up with the labels for it. I was pretty happy with myself for this. So from best apology to worst apology, we have, now that's what I call an apology. Thank you very much. Adequate, did its job, moving on. Your apology sucks, and so do you. Honestly, jail, and iconically bad. And now, speaking of iconically bad, I think we need to get to Colleen Ballinger, which I think there's no need. There's no hesitation here for iconically bad. If you don't know about the Colleen Ballinger situation, you are in for a treat. It was the talk of the internet for a very long time, and people who didn't know about the situation came to find out about it because of her shitty apology. Now, if you see in this photo, she's carrying a ukulele. She's actually playing the ukulele because her apology wasn't really an apology. It was her defending herself through song. Essentially, she decided to become Ariana Grande in that moment, or should I say Cat Valentine, where she was like, my lawyers advised me not to talk about the situation, but they didn't say I couldn't sing. And then she did that. And I have to say, it's iconic because the song Toxic Gossip Train is song of the year. I still get it stuck in my head from time to time. I'm not gonna lie. Toxic Gossip Train, cruising down the track of manipulation, the toxic gossip train. She basically had decided to become friends with her fans, which doesn't sound bad, but you have to remember that her fans were underage. They were like preteen, teenager age. I mean, listen, if it was casual, if it was innocent, this would not be talked about and she would not be saying toxic gossip train. No, of course, they had to be talking about sex and periods. She wanted them to take pictures with tampons in their mouths for some reason. I don't know. She also sent like lingerie to a fan. It was so weird. So terrible person, iconically bad apology. Next up, we have the saga of one Mr. David Dobrik, who I'm not going to let him forget. He had to make 2 apology videos. That's right, we've got our first double contender, and we're gonna have some triple contenders in there too, which is really, really fun. So basically, David Dobrik sexually assaulted somebody and also facilitated a sexual assault as well. So for his sexual assault, it wasn't directly him. I guess he just really facilitated a bunch of sexual assaults, which is great. He had a friend, and so his friend Seth he is straight, but David had set up this prank where Seth thought that he was going to be making out with a girl who was wearing a mask, but actually he enlisted his 45-year-old friend, who was a father, by the way, decided to put him under the mask and have him make out with Seth instead. Obviously, Seth did not know that he was making out with the man. After this whole situation, he wound up like leaving the friend group. He called a sexual assault hotline, and they informed him that what happened was actually sexual assault because it wasn't consensual. He didn't know who he was kissing. That's not the only thing though that he had to apologize for. He enlisted some fans of his, some girls, to come meet him for a video, but they didn't know the premise of the video was basically that one of his friends, who is a known sexual predator, by the way, who's had issues of groping girls in public before and had to apologize for his behavior around women. David was facilitating him to have a fivesome. These girls were under the age of 21, or at least the one girl was, the one who got sexually assaulted, and they gave her alcohol, and they got her really drunk, and then his sexual assaulting friend, his sexual predator friend, Dom, raped her. No other way to really say it. So David came out and made a couple of apologies. The first one is my favorite because it's on his podcast channel, which is his least subscribed and least watched channel, and he turned off all likes, all comments. You could not interact with it at all. So that did not go over well. I would say, honestly, that's jail. You deserve jail time for that. I'm sorry, what? So after this apology didn't go over well on like Twitter and stuff, sponsors were getting wind of this and they were dropping him like flies. And so in response, David had a second apology. Has hit the towers, you guys. A second apology. And this time I will say it's an adequate apology. He apologized to everybody personally. He said he was going to do better, you know, that he was going to hire an HR person. He was like making the steps to go forward. You know, I feel like it was a pretty adequate apology, all things considered. As an apology video itself, not anything like surrounding it afterwards, because like he obviously didn't keep those promises. This next apology, it's an oldie but a goodie. I had to include it. It's the Fine Bros. They really popularized reacting content on the platform. And it was all about like kids react, teens react, young adults, college, parents, adults, elderly people, everyone across the spectrum, YouTubers, everybody reacting to different phenomenons, trends, memes, internet culture, political news, whatever, what have you. They decided that because they were gaining so much popularity that they would shoot themselves in the foot and they would try to trademark the word react. That's right. If anybody reacted to anything ever on YouTube, they would be copyrighted by the Fine Bros. They got a lot of flack for this idea, and honestly, it's a forgettable apology, and the whole thing was so dumb. I'm honestly gonna say, your apology sucks, and so do you. All right, we gotta talk about it. Dramageddon. This still is my favorite thing to come out of the internet. I was so deeply invested in this whole saga. I am telling you, oh my god, there's so much to Dramageddon. Literally, like, the majority of these are involved in Dramageddon. So basically, a rundown. Jeffree Star gets this documentary by Shane Dawson done on Shane Dawson's YouTube channel. And Jeffree all of a sudden gets a ton of attention his way and people start to love him. After this situation came out, people were calling Jeffree's old friends, including Laura Lee Los Angeles, snakes, all clout chasers, whatever. There were 4 of them that were friends with Jeffree that people were accusing them of clout chasing Jeffree in order to get clout. All 4 of them posted a picture together where they're like, bitch is bitter because without him we're doing better. That made people really fucking mad. And Twitter does what Twitter does best, which is, hey, let's go through your history and see what kind of shady person you are. And they did that with Laura Lee Los Angeles specifically getting called out the hardest for some old racist tweets. I don't even remember what they all said. Doesn't matter, because guess what? We are putting another apology into the iconically bad category. I am talking, it hit all of the markers. She posts a video where she's just like crying crocodile tears. She spits at one point, I guess drools. I don't even remember what she says in it. I don't even think I could understand what she says in it. I mean, it got memed so heavily. Like, it kind of ruined her. It kind of decimated her. That was Dramageddon Part 1. Tati Westbrook, she uploads a video called Bye Sister. Shook, and she rants for like 40 minutes about how James is basically a sexual predator. He's going after straight boys. She's, you know, at her birthday dinner, he's invited, and at the dinner table, he's talking about sucking dick and cock. And he did it at my birthday dinner, talking about sucking dick and cock. So in the wake of this information, James Charles had a record-breaking subscriber loss. I mean, like, millions of people within a day unsubscribing. So in the wake of all this, James Charles, who's in Australia at that point, wakes up, hears the news, is like, what the fuck is going on, and decides to quickly make an apology video where I can't even remember exactly the whole situation, but it is once again a pretty shitty apology. I will say it's an honestly jail. I wouldn't say it's iconically bad, but he's just like, I think he apologizes to his parents at a certain point in the video. It's a mess. It's all over the place. But the story, of course, does not end there. We have, I would say honestly, now that's what I call an apology, because this isn't even really an apology, but James Charles comes back. We thought his career was over. James Charles is a sexual predator. We hate him now. Okay, everybody's burning their James Charles merch. No, 2 weeks later, James Charles comes back with a vengeance, with a video called No More Lies. And in this video, woo, he lays it all out. He calls out Jeffree Star. He calls out Tati. And then he's just like, all those situations weren't the way that she was describing them, where the waiter was like, I think I might be bi. I want to experiment with you. They do experiment. And he's like, I think I'm good. James lets him go, whatever. And then he comes after Jeffree Star, who of course has to insert himself in the situation, because Jeffree Star, whenever it comes to the beauty guru community, has to be involved some way, somehow. So he comes in and is just like, yeah, I know James is a sexual predator because James was flirting with my boyfriend, who's straight, by the way. I always have to make sure that people know that I, a gay man, am dating a straight man. He's just like, we had to kick him out of the house. He wasn't ever allowed back, and blah, blah, blah. Jeffree Star also decided to go after James Charles's brother, who had nothing to do with this, who's like 15 years old at the time, whatever. James Charles's brother tweets out like, why do people have to be so mean? And Jeffree Star comes back with, and why is your brother a sexual predator? That's right, shut the fuck up. So he's just like popping off and being so angry. And then James calls him out too. He's just like, my brother was being bullied at school. That's why he tweeted that. By the way, and here's you coming after my friends, and here's you texting me. And he had so many receipts. He had so many text messages. He had so much evidence. It's not even funny. This video is a pretty decent apology. He defends himself. He comes with receipts. He turned the tides. He made people side with him and against Jeffree Star. So now moving on to Jeffree Star, I have to get to the first one. The thumbnail is Jeffree going like this, and overlaid on top of it is the text, racism, impact font, bold. All caps. And it's basically him apologizing for his past. The fact that I don't quite remember it is, your apology sucks and so do you. You know what he had to apologize for? He ran a site for makeup. I think it was called Lipstick Nazi, and it had Nazi insignia on it. He threatened some black people by calling them, I think, gorillas, and then also threatening to throw battery acid on them. So I think he was like addressing that stuff, and I think that's also why, like, after this situation is when Shane Dawson made that documentary on him. I'm not 100% sure about that part of the timeline. But anyway, so after James's No More Lies video comes out, we have an apology from Jeffree, saying, never doing this again. I will actually say it's adequate, did its job, moving on, because he said, I'm never gonna get involved in this shit again. I'm sorry for my contribution. I didn't know all the facts. I didn't have all the context. I think he pretty much obfuscates the blame and puts it on to Tati. It was adequate. It did its job. It put pressure off of his back, and he's like, I'm not getting involved in drama that I should have stayed out of ever again. So that kind of ended the 2019 version of Dramageddon. So 2020 happens. From the first 2018 instance to then 2019, Shane Dawson is making documentaries with Jeffree Star. They're becoming like best buddies, to the point where Shane Dawson himself is like, let me get into the beauty world. And they decide to do a collaboration. They released their makeup products around the same time that James Charles released his makeup palette, which is actually quite important, I'm not gonna lie. Shane Dawson releases his documentary reacting to the Dramageddon stuff while also working on these makeup products. I think one of Jeffree's ex-employees, somehow ex-assistant or something, comes out of the woodwork and talks about how Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson were actually behind the downfall of James Charles. They were trying to manipulate Tati into getting so mad at James Charles that she called him out for his sexual predation. So that way, James's sales wouldn't, from his popular artistry eyeshadow palette, wouldn't be as high as their collaboration, because these makeup collaborations were coming out at the same time. It was like a competition thing. And so they basically were like, let's get somebody, I would say, credible, because Jeffree and Shane have been in their own dramas. Of course they have before this. Tati is pretty clean. So her calling out James is like, whoa. They were like getting in her ear, talking up a bunch of shit, and just really convincing her to come out with Bye Sister video. So much so that I think Shane even offered to edit the video. Like, that's how involved they were. So they get called out heavily for this. And Shane makes a Twitter statement where he's like, I'm done. I'm leaving the beauty community. Babe, you were in it for a month. Twitter does as Twitter does. And Twitter, once again, they look back into Shane Dawson's past, and boy, oh boy, is there a treasure trove of stuff to look through. Everything under the sun, from calling 6-year-olds and babies sexy to giving his 12-year-old nephew a fucking sex birds and the bees talk when it was like completely unasked for, out of the blue type shit, sexualizing his dogs, telling a story of coming on his cat. I'll get to that. Also, racism. The amount of blackface Shane Dawson did, you know, you might think that he was black. Stereotyping every race under the sun. I mean, just awful, awful behavior. There's literally a video of him pretending to jack off to an 11-year-old Willow Smith, to which her mother and brother, Jada Pinkett Smith and Jaden Smith, both called him out. So then Shane Dawson comes out of the woodwork and makes an apology. I would say, honestly, this apology deserves jail time. He not only did it off the back of Jenna Marbles' apology, which I'll get to when I get to, but he made excuses the entire time, claiming that he was sexually abused as a kid and that, you know, all his content was a different person. It wasn't even him. He doesn't even recognize that person. Just take accountability. Like the title of the video said, taking accountability. I don't see it. Where is it? All the meanwhile, Shane Dawson's getting thrown under the bus. Jeffree Star is remaining quite silent. For a month, I think people are spamming his Instagram comments. People are spamming his YouTube videos. People are like, what you gonna say? What you gonna do? I think I'm gonna have to put his last apology in, honestly, jail. It might be worse than Shane Dawson's, but I don't know if I have the heart to put it in iconically bad. This video is him being pissed off that he has to apologize. He makes a quick apology to James Charles for doing the shit that he did. I don't even think he really addresses it. But then he's like, Black Lives Matter, people are dying. What about Breonna Taylor? What about George Floyd? What about their stories? Why don't you focus your energy on that? Everybody's like, why can't we do both? He literally tries to make the audience feel guilty for focusing on this situation. He then, at the end of the video, or at least somewhere in the video, I can't even quite remember. It might be before the Black Lives Matter stuff. It might be after. Who cares? After you know what? No, this is iconically bad. After that, he promotes a makeup collection he's coming out with. He's like, anyway, listen, Black Lives Matter, buy my new collection. End video. Cut, and we're done. It's iconic. Who ever thought to promote their makeup products, their merch, whatever, in an apology video? That's insane. Finally, in the wake of the 2020 drama, we had little Miss Tati. You know what? I'll put it in adequate, did its job, moving on. I don't really think Tati had much to apologize over, if I'm gonna be completely honest. Just the making of the Bye Sister video. She got her lawyers involved. She was thinking about suing. Nothing ever came out of it, by the way. But she's just like, yeah, James wanted to be here, but I told him it'd probably be best if I did it myself. Like, I haven't seen them interact ever since the Bye Sister video, honestly. I don't really know if they made up or not. I think she was just trying to save face, like, me and James are on good terms. And so she came out with this, like, long-ass statement where she was just like, I was manipulated, basically confirming what other people were saying, which is just that, yeah, Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star were really behind this. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an apology video, but it's adequate. It did its job of what it needed to do. Let's move on to 2021, where unfortunately Tati and Jeffree Star wound up being kind of correct in calling James Charles a sexual predator. Alas, this time around, we're not hearing from YouTubers, we're hearing from actual victims. Like 12 boys came forward saying that James used TikTok, a video creation app, a short form video creation app, to flirt with boys who he asked were like 18. They said yes, because of course they want to be able to talk with James Charles, like they're fans of him. Or at the very least, he's famous. Immediately things turn sexual, and he sends like nudes and stuff, and he flirts viciously with 15-year-old boys, 16-year-old boys. Yeah, sure, he asks them their age. Yeah, but if you go to like their bios, it says their age. In some of them, in the videos, it says their age. So what are you doing there, James? And I'm sorry, but if it gets to a pattern where you have like 3 boys at least saying, yeah, this same shit happened to me, who's the problem here? Who's the common denominator in this situation? You. Who's the adult in the situation? You. Going after people who look like they're 16, act like they're 16, literally say on their social media profiles that they're 16. Not a good look. And you know what's funny about James's apology? I have to put it in iconically bad. I have to. His excuse was, I was desperate. He says, I did all that shit. I was just desperate. I have no words. I'm speechless. Huh? Okay, good to know. Take that one to court. See where it lands you. Jail. Maybe I should put that one in honestly jail, because you deserve it. That's really the Dramageddon situation. Funny how the majority of my apologies in here are regarding that. I think the rest of these I'm not entirely familiar with, but I know about their apologies and their situations and felt I had to include them. This is a couple that purposely wanted to adopt a disabled child. Mentally disabled, physically disabled, right? I think the child had severe autism, had so many health problems, whatever. They realized can't handle it. They returned the mentally and physically disabled child that they so badly requested to have. I didn't realize that there was a return receipt on adoptions. Honestly, jail. I don't remember anything about the apology. It doesn't matter. This is your explanation of the situation, saying you couldn't handle it. Jail time. Goodbye. Rot. Please and thank you. I can't get over like the mental gymnastics you must have to go through to specifically want a disabled child and then return the child because it's too disabled for you to handle. All right, next up we have ProJared. I think I have to put this one in honestly jail as well. The dude, what is up with YouTubers and inappropriately messaging like underage fans? He did that. ProJared had like, I think, a subreddit called SinJared where he would flirt with like underage girls that literally just like wanted to talk to him, and he would like send them nudes and stuff. You know what? Let me look up a picture of ProJared and you tell me if you're attracted to him. He was married, by the way. Dick too good? I'm sorry. Where's his chin? His eyes are bigger than my future. This screams incel to me. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not surprised you're looking for underage girls, dude. And you know what he said in response to all these accusations? I did that. Yeah, I did. You just admitted to it. You that's all you have to say is you just admitted to it. Okay, jail time. Please and thank you. Get out of my sight. Get off the internet. Next up, we have Sienna May. Now, I need to just put this one in iconically bad. Before I even get to the situation, I think there's a bit more nuance to the situation. What happened was she was friends with a guy who apparently was not interested in her at all, and that she was very interested in. And she would consistently make advances on him, including making out with him and like putting her hand down his pants, stripping down naked in front of him, specifically when he didn't want that. Now, she says he kind of led her on and like they would make out from time to time and they were like kind of dating. But I don't know if he ever really wanted to admit it. So I don't really know the real situation. Doesn't matter, because what happened was an iconically bad apology video. You thought singing was bad? Well, let me introduce you to an interpretive dance. That's right. She apologized, and I think she was known to be a dancer anyway, but she decided to apologize through the form of dance. It really tests the bounds of what an apology can be. Apology song, apology dance. What's next? I don't know. I'm excited to find out who can top these apologies. You know what? That just tells me be inventive with your apology, guys. That way, you know people will tune in. And I didn't know about these people until this situation, until I found out about a girl apologizing through interpretive dance. Here we are. You know what I mean? She apologized for sexual assault / sexual harassment through the form of dance. It's amazing. It's an amazing world we live in. Next up, we have a Sniperwolf. I'm gonna just put in, your apology sucks and so do you. The Sniperwolf apology, which I will read, don't worry, came in the wake of her doxing somebody. Another YouTuber, by the way. So that makes it even worse because they're a publicly known person. So if you don't like that person, now you know where they live. Named Jax Films. He is known for making parody content, and he was getting fed up with Sniperwolf because her reaction videos are simply her watching another video. So she's essentially just stealing content, which is like not cool on the internet. So she was like getting pissed off that Jack was calling her out, making parody videos, just not saying anything and watching TikToks and whatever. And she decided to go to his house and dox him. Like, you're getting millions of views off of your videos. You're YouTube's darling. You're basically making it seem like it's okay to create this kind of content. When you get rightfully called out, when you act like a baby like this, it's insane. Let's read this, shall we? This is her apology, which she decided on Twitter to give. Let me start by saying I'm sorry for my recent actions. It is inexcusable. I'm sorry to Jax Film. That's not his name. It's Jax Films. Whatever. YouTube, the entire creator community, and my incredible fans for not being a better example for appropriate conflict resolution. Jax Film, while we certainly don't see eye to eye and have our differences, I'm sorry for reacting the way I did when I should have taken the opportunity to show young creators how adults and professionals resolve conflict by communicating directly, respectfully, and privately. Not for views or content, but a meaningful example of how conflict should be solved. I will reach out directly and hope we can find some time to connect and communicate respectfully. This is my favorite part. I'd also like to thank YouTube for holding me accountable. I deserve it, respect the decision, and appreciate the opportunity to learn and grow from a true lapse in judgment. You didn't even say his name right. You didn't even apologize directly for what you did. If I didn't explain what happened, that she doxed him for being mad about him parroting her content and calling her out for her shitty practices on YouTube, you would have no idea what happened. Did you kill his dog? I don't know. You just said you didn't resolve the conflict properly. That could mean anything. And thanking YouTube, suck up, kiss ass. Your apology sucks, and so do you. This last one, I think his name is T. Martin. This is honestly like an OG gambling scam on YouTube. There's this game called Counter-Strike, and in this game is like a gambling thing that you can do. to get like skins for guns and whatever. And what he did was they were getting paid by CSGO or something like that to promote this gambling site to their kids. Or not to their kids, but to their audience, which is kids. So really shitty practices because you're promoting gambling to an underage audience. It's going to be their parents' money. You're bankrupting people so that way you can make a shit ton of money. As you can see in this picture, he's not alone. He's got his dog. Yeah, in his apology video, he decided to bring his dog into it to make himself look better. Your apology still sucks, and so do you. Final two. I think I need to end off on a bit of a higher note, so we're gonna start with Logan Paul first. I think it goes without saying. This is an iconically bad apology. Logan Paul, infamous for showing a dead body, apologized for it in this video. You went to Japan, where like you should just apologize for your behavior in Japan in general. Gallivanting around the city, running around, taking dead fish from fish markets and throwing them on taxis. Once again, wish I were kidding, but the most disrespectful thing that he decided to do in the forest called the Suicide Forest they went to, they found an actual dead body hanging. Now, I can understand laughing uncomfortably. It doesn't really matter, okay? You still laughed. You still kept the dead body in the video and you laughing in the video. Choices, okay? You decided to show that to a majority of underage girls as your audience. There were so many steps involved. You recorded it. You looked through the footage. You edited it down. You rewatched the footage and you decided to export it to YouTube. Upload it to YouTube. There were so many decisions being made. And your apology, he took an apology tour. He stained YouTube and YouTubers with what he did. But I don't know. I just feel like he overall wasn't really remorseful over the situation, just remorseful over losing opportunities and sponsorships. Our last apology is one that honestly, it's gonna be hard for me to talk about. Jenna Marbles was a huge role model for me. She still is. I'm not gonna lie. So this is like, I wonder where I'm gonna put this one. This is widely regarded as one of the best apologies that could come out of YouTube. It is like the gold standard of apologies that every YouTuber should look up to. This apology video made me stop. Basically, once again, in the wake of BLM and the George Floyd protests and everything, people went through YouTuber history, right? I don't think a lot of people went through Jenna's history, but Jenna herself, being the kind-hearted person she is, took an issue with her previous content. There's a lot of growth that had happened over her channel, and she really shaped me as a person from the ages of 13 to 19. So I just like greatly appreciate her. She still shapes me as a person. Her apology was heartbreaking to watch her in a state of not being silly or goofy or trying to lift people up, but in a state of putting herself down. She specifically went through each and every video and piece of content that she was ashamed of and why she was ashamed of it. She gave a little explanation as to, you know, like her dressing up as Nicki Minaj, and she just had a really dark tan on, but it looked like she was doing blackface. And so she's just like, I was just really tan at that point, but I understand how it looked like blackface and there's no excuse. I'm sorry. And so she like just laid everything out, explained each and every situation, and apologized deeply and remorsefully. She cut out parts where she was starting to tear up. And you know how received this video was? It was very well received. People were crying or sobbing or giving her well wishes. It was huge news because at the end of the video she said, I don't know if I'm ever coming back to YouTube. I don't even like to put her in here. I don't even like to draw attention to it at all, but I do feel like it needs to be put in here because we need to have a good apology amongst all of the shitty apologies and the shittier people along with it. She is the only, I think, out of this group, the only good person in this roster. So I needed to include it, especially with how much I love her. So might be a little bit biased, but you know, opinions are opinions, and this is my tier. This is my list. And you know what? I have to say, it's really satisfying to see the way it all went down. Ooh, it just gets me tingles. I'm like, ooh, it just looks so good. My organized type A brain coming in. As a sweet treat to everyone, ending up this apology tier list, I have to include one of my favorite tweets of all time by the one, the only, Shane Dawson. It's somewhat of an apology, not really, not enough to put in the tier, but I was like, you know, I'd probably put this in iconically bad. Let's be real. This is iconic. This is a copy pasta at this point. I'm gonna try and read this without laughing. Okay. I didn't fuck my cat. I didn't come on my cat. I didn't put my dick anywhere near my cat. I've never done anything weird with my cats. I promised myself I wasn't gonna make apology videos after last year's thing, so I'm just trying to be as short and honest with this as possible. I think my favorite part out of this is 1 out of question mark. How many more tweets do you need to make about fucking your cat, dude? And that is where I would put all of my apologies. I'm honestly pretty happy with how it turned out. If you have any more apology suggestions for me to include, or have a different ranking that you would put these apologies in for yourself, let me know in the comments. I've included the link to my tier list in the comments below if you would like to play along. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, make sure you leave a like so that way I know to make more videos like it. Maybe some more apology tier lists, maybe just some other tier lists in general. If you have an idea, leave a comment. I'll try to figure out if I would make a tier list on that, and maybe I'll make a tier list video. I don't know. And if you would like to see anything else I make, from reaction videos to gaming videos to makeup videos, or really anything in between, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I try and post as often as I can, which I guess I'm just trying to post weekly. All right, that will do for today's video. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Gotta clear out my system, you know what I mean? Expel the demons! Okay. 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 Sorry.